Alright, good afternoon everybody. Now it's time for my America's Got Talent review. It's my first review in 3 weeks. This is the recap show of the Season 7 YouTube Snapple special, for which this show will be brought to you by Snapple, which I got a bottle of it earlier today. So, let's get started with the review. But before I get started, I can tell that this was just an okay show. A lot of acts really didn't do too well, but I'll explain. But anyways, let's start. First up was a man named Clint Carvalho and his extreme parrots. Well, tonight he only had one. Last night he only had one parrot, for which this is the first time we ever had an act that was used both indoors and out. It began outdoors, pretty much with the bird coming out of the pet cage, flying off as it flew down the building off a the Best Western Hotel, as Clint called his parrot Kitty. Kitty calling, "Here, kitty, 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 kitty!" Trying to call to get the attention. It went into the building of the Performing Arts Center, through the lobby, and then into the auditorium towards Clint. And you know what? That is a great stunt indeed to begin the show. Some people think it's lame, but I actually like it. The judges did have some questions, but I think I would love to see more of what the birds can do. So, Clint Carvalho, 10 out of 10. Great way to start. The next up was a band called Reverse Order, and the song that they performed was I Kissed a Girl, as done by Katy Perry. Now, that's a song my mother can't stand, so if Mom was a judge, she'd hit her buzzer on this, but unfortunately they weren't buzzed. The performance was just okay, and they say that they probably want to be more of a rock band, but they realize pop songs aren't their thing, so I don't think they're going to go through. So, Reverse Order, 7 out of 10. Then the next act was a magician named Rudy Kobe, and he did a thing of these puppets set to a song called Puppet Boy. This puppet was kind of like a beheaded thing. It first started small, then it came to life as a large one, and this is when it kind of scared some people, and unfortunately it was the first act to get buzzed, because it got 2 X's, as Howard and Sharon buzzed it. And, well, Howie kind of may have liked some parts of it, but the others don't think it, and I don't think it was pretty good. That was pretty bad, in my opinion, so Rudy Kobe, only 2 out of 10. And I can tell you something else. All the acts that Howard buzzed tonight, at least one of the other 2 Got Talent judges buzzed along with him. So, yeah. So there were actually a lot. This show explains why it was so bad. The next up was a female dance crew called 7 in Unison. And they danced to Fever as done by Peggy Lee. The dancing was just a little too slow for me, and kind of recital-like, and therefore Howie buzzed this act criticizing about this, and I don't think these girls are going to go through. So 7 in Unison, 4 out of 10, and in terms of numbers, Birds of Dances, crews with numbers, I much still prefer the 787 crew better. I hope they come back for the wildcard show. In fact, the wildcard picks are going to get announced tonight as well. We'll see who is. And then the next act was the YouTube act that got the highest number of votes from the viewers, a young singer named Drew Irwin, and the song that he sang was Torn, is Made Famous by Natalie Imbruglia. Yeah, which I've seen the video for that on VH1 back when it premiered in 1998. It didn't chart on the Hot 100 though, because it was an album cut and made it to the airplay charts instead. But the song was just great. It was pretty good. 2 of the judges said that he probably wasn't ready yet, but I think he can do another song. So he probably won't go through to the next round at first, but I think he might be worth a wild card pick. So Drew Irwin, 8 out of 10. Then the next act was a female stand-up comic named Melinda Hill. And some of her jokes, she started out kind of strong, but then some of the jokes started to be more toward about her mother, and then briefly mentioning about Howard Stern's place. And to me, it was just mediocre. But at least she didn't get buzzed, so Melinda Hill, 7 out of 10. Don't think she's going to go through. Besides, we already have 2 comics in the semis already, Tom and Jacob, so why bother putting a third one? I'd say no. Then the next 2 acts really did not do too well at all. next was a novelty act named Eric Buss. And for his, he had some things which I called the mess of French fry-like things, and it caused a big mess on the stage. The piece he said to was to the Blue Danube. And of course, unfortunately, he got 2 X's as Howard and Sharon buzzed this act. Howie seemed to like this kind of novelty, but I don't think it was that. It was too messy, and the cleanup crew really had to do all this thing. So, Eric Buss, 2 out of 10, not going to make it. The next act was even worse, because next was Romeo Dance Cheetah, and he was an air guitar player. Someone did play air guitar to a rock song. It may have been kind of fun, but unfortunately, he too got 3 X's as, I got 2 X's as Howard and Howie buzzed him. I don't know why Sharon didn't buzz him. To me, this act really should have gotten 3 X's instead of 2, because I think he looks very ugly, and this act, I don't ever want to see this act again. This act is just too bad, so lame. So, yeah. Romeo Dance Cheetah, 1 out of 10. Very pathetic. And, yeah, this really had not been a good YouTube show at all. But then things started to get a little bit better, because then next up was The Magic of Puck, and the song that he did was to a song which I heard also at Melissa and Gorman's wedding. I'm speaking of, and Melissa, if you're watching this on your YouTube channel, you'll understand. But The Magic of Puck was just pretty good, having a scarf moving around and all this. Some people think it may have been kind of boring, but I don't think it was. Of course, Sharon did criticize, saying that you need to get something bigger, but I think he can get something bigger. So I think he still has a chance to go through. So The Magic of Puck, 9 out of 10, not bad. Then next up was a young country singer named Bria Kelly, and the song that she sang was Gunpowder and Lead, as done by Miranda Lambert. And you know what? That was a great song. And at least she finally made it become the really big standout, although I still praise Clint's performance back at the beginning as well. So Bria, great song. And I can tell you, if she was singing this on The Voice instead of Got Talent, I'm sure Blake Shelton would even be impressed. Maybe Bria could have been on Blake's team, giving the fact of country music relevance. But Bria Kelly has a high chance of making it to the semifinals. Great young country singer, 10 out of 10. Then the next act had to perform outside the studio just because his instrument was a little bit too large to fit in, because it was too heavy and the crew couldn't carry it. This was an act known as Cast in Bronze, his real name is Frank Della Penna. That's for those of you who really want to know who he was. But he's kind of like, he never shows his real face because he puts on a mask and some weird thing. He almost looks a lot like, almost similar to like the more mysterious AGT version of the Phantom of the Opera. But the song he performed, unfortunately, it was a song that's way too out of season, too early to perform right now. It shouldn't, as he performed the Carol of the Bells on the Carillon. And this was also the first time the judges used the handheld X's outside. And of course, at the end, yeah, the bells were pretty annoying, and in the end, he ended up getting 3 X's. And that is so bad. He was the worst of the night. I'll never want to hear that annoying Carillon again. Besides, Ocean Park, Maine has a better Carillon than Cast in Bronze's. So, I don't want to hear that again. So, Cast in Bronze, since he got 3 X's, he gets the big fat 0. So that's pretty bad. But then the last good thing, they saved the best for last, because the final act to perform was the Academy of Villains, and they were kind of like a dance group that they looked kind of evil, but even the evilness can prevail. So, and Academy of Villains, they first started out forming together, making motions to Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. Then after that part ended, they started dancing to another great song, making the elements even more fantastic. And you know what? Glad they saved it for last, and I have a high feeling that the Academy of Villains are definitely going to go through. So evil does prevail. So, yeah, overall, this really was not a great show in my opinion. There were a lot of pretty pathetic acts if you ask me. And because of all this, because this was the first show after the games, it was kind of like as if this show was suffering from an Olympic hangover. But that's not all. If I ever make mentions to a game show in this case, because of how bad the acts were, or this show also often kind of looked like a show that the evil Mike Richards would have produced. And you know how much I hate Mike Richards. And I can tell you, if you haven't seen my rant about him from months ago, please watch that first before you watch this review. That way you might understand. I'm sure Mr. Horgan would know about this as well. He can cue up the losing horns anytime. Time for a lot of these bad acts. So, yeah. But anyways, because of so many bad acts that really were lame, pathetic, and too much garbage and all that, the top 4 acts are pretty easy to determine, because the top 4 that are definitely going to go through to the semifinals are Clint Carvalho, the Magic of Puck, Bria Kelly, and the Academy of Villains. And of course, since this is the last week since the wildcard show will be coming up next week, this will be my final wildcard pick the only YouTube act that's worth coming back for the wildcard show is Drew Irwin, as I said. So, there you go on that. But since the wildcard show is next week, I would also like to pick a few more wildcards that should definitely come back. Now, not all my picks will make it back, but I think some of them will. As for the acts eliminated in Vegas that I would like to bring back for the wildcard show, there's at least 3. They are there's 4. One is ventriloquist John Peasy, which I was kind of disappointed when the judges did not advance him to the 48, because I liked his virtual ventriloquism a lot. Also, another act that should be worth coming back should be Mary Joyner. She actually was a great singer. Too bad that her Vegas round kind of messed up a bit, but I'm sure she can come back. She deserves another chance. And the last 2 wildcard picks are classical singers. Because I'm only picking 2, because the only classical singer that won't come back, because he'd bomb if he did, was simply Sergio, because I don't want him back. The 2 classical singers that I think are worth coming back are Luis Meneghin, who actually had a great audition singing Pavarotti's signature song, and the second act, most notably, the best of the classical singers that should come back, and the goth opera singer Andrew De Leon. The reason why he should come back, he had a great audition, being like a young voice soprano, but his Vegas round kind of messed up because of the nerves getting to him, and I felt disappointed about that. So I hope Andrew De Leon comes back for this wildcard show. We'll see when they announce tonight. Now these will be for the 11 remaining spots, because we already know all that is coming back for the wildcard show, and I'm glad Sharon picked that. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed it, and be sure to watch tonight's result show, which will feature performances from Carmen, as well as Olympic gold medalist Gabby Douglas, as well as a funny video thing of the day in the life of Howard Stern. But anyways, hope you all enjoy it, and I will have another review next week when I review the wildcard show. So anyways, have a great day. Bye.